basically it has the word intercept. Okay, so that's where something touches. So an x-intercept is where the line touches the x-axis. Y-intercept is where it hits the y-axis. Okay, so you are just looking for the ordered pair where it hits each axis. So this is my y-intercept. This one is my x-intercept. All right. To find an x-intercept, let's think about this. If we were looking at points on the x-axis, what would be the ordered pair for this point? Remember, ordered pairs, x comma y. What's the x value here? 1, and the y would be 0 for this particular point. Okay, this point would be 2, 0. This would moved over 2 and it's 0. This would be 3, 0. This would be 4, 0. So every point on the x-axis, what's true about the y value? It's equal to 0. So to find the x-intercept, we just plug in 0 for y. Did you guys ever use cover-up method? Did Ms. Steyer ever talk about that? Okay. I'll get there in a second. So to find a y-intercept, so this would be the point, we're not moving left or right at all, so my x is 0 and my y is 1. So this is 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4. So to find the y-intercept, what do we do? So to find an intercept, you make the opposite variable 0. And then we're going to solve what's left. All right. So let's say I want the x and y intercepts for this equation. So my x-intercept. If you are on the x-axis, we know y is 0. So for an intercept, the opposite variable is 0. So I replace my y with a 0. And I'm trying to solve for x. So what would I do to get x by some? Okay, subtract 6. Divide by 3. And we get x to be negative 2. If I wanted that as an ordered pair, the x is negative 2. What was the y equal to? 0. To find a y-intercept, plug in 0 for the x. What's 3 times 0? 0. And 0 plus 6 is just 6. So we get y equals 0 plus 6 or y equals 6. What would that one be as an ordered pair? 0, 6. The x was 0 and the y was 6. All right. Can't stay outside the air conditioner anymore. We're going to do a couple of these examples. I'm probably going to jump around a little bit, if that's okay. We'll go ahead and do the first one. How do we find the x-intercept? Plug in a 0 for the y. So we get 0 equals negative x plus 5. So I could just add my x to the other side. So I equals 5. So what would be the ordered pair for that? 5, 0. The x was 5 and the y was 0. Y-intercept. So if I want to find the y-intercept, what do we do? Plug in a 0 for the x. And that just gives me y equals 5. So the y-intercept would be? Right, x was 0 and y was 5. Do we remember doing these at all? Why don't you guys try example 2? And if we get that, we'll probably skip a couple examples. So the x-intercept, you're finding where something hits the x-axis, y is 0. So you guys added 8 over. At this point, you can either divide by 1/2 or multiply by 2. Get rid of that either way, and you should get 16 equals x. If you were typing that in the calculator, you do 8 divided by parentheses 1 over 2. If you're using my calculator, put that 1/2 in parentheses. The ordered pair, x comma y. So x was 16, y was 0. Y-intercept, we plug in a 0 for the x, so we get y equals 1/2 times 0 minus 8. 1/2 times 0 is 0. We just get y equals negative 8. 0, negative 8. Let's go to the back page. I want to look at example 5 here. So it's the exact same process. This is just written in different form. The others were slope intercept. Do you remember what ax plus by equals c? Which form is this? Standard form. But same process. X-intercept. If you plug in a 0 for your y, 2 times 0 is 0. So that term just goes away. So we get 3x equals 12. And x equals 4. Wait. What? Oh, because I'm not doing example 5. We were on example 4. Y-intercept. If I plug in a 0 for what variable? X, always the opposite variable. Okay, so you get 0 minus 2y, so negative 2y equals 12. Negative 6, so 0, negative 6. Are those okay? I want to do a couple of the graphing problems and then I'm going to be done for today. So all the graphing ones are having us do is use these intercepts to graph a line. I think I'm going to do, we'll go ahead and do example 7. So this is a line that you probably wouldn't be able to look at right now to graph. In order to graph, we always put it in y equals mx plus b form, which is fine. But we can also use those intercepts to graph it. So if I find the x and y intercept, so for my x-intercept, if I put in a 0 for my y, I get x equals 3. So that would be the point 3, 0. If you want to graph that, you are plotting the point 3, 0. It's on the x-axis because it was my x-intercept. plug in a 0 for the x. 0 plus y is just y, so we get y equals 3. What's that order pair? Okay, if I plot 0, 3, we're hitting the y-axis at 3. So I don't actually need my y equals mx plus b form. Once you have any 2 points, you just use your ruler and draw the line between them. Why don't you guys try example 8? Okay. X-intercept, so if your y is 0, you end up with negative 4x plus 0 equals 20, so negative 4x equals 20. Divide, and you get x to be negative 5. If I ask for the ordered pair, that's negative 5, 0. So that is the point on the x-axis. Y-intercept, plug in a 0 for x. So you get negative 4 times 0 is 0. Plus 5y equals 20. Divide by 5. And y is 4. That would be the point 0, 4. So the point on the y-axis is at 4. All right. Are we doing okay with this? Do we need more problems? Okay. So I am going to give you a handout to practice. Now, I expect you to actually identify your x and y intercepts. Okay, so make sure your work is clear enough that we can find where the x and y intercepts